Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, Cooking for Health with Timah, and of course, I'm Timah. Okay, so I have a nice little ball of dough, and now I'm just going to use some distilled water. Just pour enough water over the top of your dough to completely cover it over. There we go. So we're gonna let that sit. Now make sure that the first washing and soaking of your dough is gonna be with some distilled water, because this is where we're gonna be saving and collecting and saving the starch that's gonna come off of the dough, where we can use this in various recipes, from cakes, breads, making various sauces. You'll have your own starch, and it'll either come from your Spelt or it'll come from your Kamut. So it's very important to use distilled water and not your tap water. All right, so it's been sitting for a nice little minute. And what I want to do right now, I just want to move this around in the water. Just kind of squeezing it a little. And the only reason I'm doing this is because I want to hurry up and release the starch. So all that white that you see inside this water, that's the starch. So I just want to go ahead and get it all released. There we go. And you may notice the water getting a bit whiter and whiter as we go. There we go. All right. So that's good enough. Now we're going to go on to the next step. If you have a glass bowl, just bring that out and have it prepared for the next step. Because now we're going to move back over to the dough hook. And you're going to turn it on low. So let's lock it down. And so we're going to put it on number 1. So we're just going to let the dough hook massage the dough. This process also allows for the starch to be released from the dough in an even quicker way, instead of just washing it with our hands. So we just let this go for maybe about 5 minutes, no more than 10 minutes. And then we're gonna stop it and go to the next process. Okay, so now I've taken it off the dough hook. So this is what it'll look like after you've taken it off of the dough hook. You have this nice milky white liquid in the bottom of your bowl. And then you have, let me get my spoon. Then you have the bits. That's your gluten being built up right there. So now we're going to separate this even more. And we are moving into our next step. All right, so here's where our glass container is going to come into play. We're going to go in and take out some of the little bits. So all these little dark pieces like this, you want to take it out and put it over there. Because now we're just going to start separating it so that we can keep the starch. There. And if you can't get it all out, don't worry about it. I have another process for that too. But as you're taking it out, you see that white collecting down inside of this bowl. You'll notice that there's going to be some white collecting down inside of your bowl. That's your starch. So I'm gonna get out as much of the little bits as I can with my hand. And that's good enough. And now what I am going to do, I'm just gonna move that over. And I have a little container that I'm gonna keep my starch in. And that's what, let's move that. And that's what this little flour sifter is gonna be used for. And if you don't have a flour sifter, that's also what you can use the coffee filter for. So we're just gonna pour. I'm gonna pour it all down. There's a few little bits of the gluten still left inside of my container, and that's fine. So we're just gonna get all of the liquid off of the gluten. Let's just shake it down. Okay, so that's all run through. And now what I'm going to do, let me just do this here. Now all of this water is not the starch. The starch is going to start settling down to the bottom of the bowl. But what I want to do is take this and pour it there as well, because I want to get as much of that starch and put it in here. Now there's that. But I'm going to take this, set it over to the side. So this is what we're going to keep. This is your spelt starch. Now we're going to let that continue to settle down to the bottom, and then because this is distilled water, not tap water, you don't have to worry about this getting any type of buildup or anything on it. You don't have to worry about it going bad. So we're going to take that, sit it to the side, just so that it can continue to settle. Okay, now that the water with the starch has set, you see how it's settled down to the bottom? All that white down there, that's actually your starch. You can use this to do various things. So all this water on here, I don't need to keep this. And I'm not gonna keep this inside of the refrigerator. I'm gonna turn it into a powder. Actually, I already have some here that I turned into a powder. All of that. So this is some Spelt and Kamut starch that I made into a powder, and I use in various recipes. And so the next steps that you'll do is pour the water off top. You might want to let it sit and stabilize just a little bit more. You can put it inside the refrigerator and it'll start getting hard down at the bottom. But dip out as much of the water on top as you possibly can. And within maybe about a few hours, sit inside the refrigerator or just let it sit overnight. You'll have your starch sitting on the bottom, and then you just remove all the water off of the top and just let it completely dry out. Put it on put it on some parchment paper, let it dry completely out, and you can sit it inside the oven. You don't have to turn on the heat or anything unless you just absolutely want to. You can turn the light on inside of your oven. That will be warm enough to let it completely dry out so that you can have your powder. And if you need to run it through, if you need your powder to, your starch to be even finer, then just run it through, put it inside of like a little blender cup or something, and just break it down a little bit finer. But that's how you do your gluten, so that you can make your starch. I hope this has been helpful for you guys and very useful for you guys. And this has been your starch making test kitchen masterclass.
Look what I can do.